Girl, you have got to try this Laneige lip mask. Trust me, my lips needed that love.
Love these vanilla vibes from Kayali. That top note is just so smooth. Smooth and stunning. That's what you get with this K18 hair mask.
Those brands everybody's talking about, they're at Sephora. Discover the hype with the hottest names in beauty, including Laneige, Kayali, K18, and Rare Beauty. Only at Sephora.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Opening half hour brought to you by our good friends at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, light business, boat, motorcycle, RV. Organizing all your insurance needs. Look, I mean, how many of you have one insurance need? I mean, come on. Almost all of us have multiple. Hey, maybe you don't have a business, but you have a car, you have a house, or you need apartment insurance. I mean, it's like they organize all of it for you. All of it. And they make sure they do everything they can to save you money. It is all at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Todd and I going through another day where we know, because neither one of us broadcast Shikellamy football or basketball, we are further down the company totem pole.
We have Jody Mack on the line, sir.
Oh, you did not text me that, sir.
I did?
No.
Unless I sent it to the wrong one.
You might have, because I don't have it. Right. That's a strong possibility. Out of nowhere, I'm going to get one like 10 minutes from now saying, hey, Jody Mack's on the line. Well, let's get to the man himself, okay? This is always, for me personally, one of the truly fun conversations, because his wealth of knowledge and just being a great dude, he's the guy. Jody, welcome back. It is great to have you with us.
Before you ask me a question, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me any question you want anytime.
Can I get insurance on losing money at the track before I go? Because that's what I probably need more insured than anything else in my life.
I mean, you're talking to a guy who's about to go with Girardi in 2 weeks to Santa Anita. So you and I may have to go in together.
Oh, no, if you're going with Girardi, that's taking insurance with you. That's a smart move on your part.
See, again, that is my personal two-legged insurance policy at the track.
Can't go wrong with Dickie J at the track.
Oh, he is something else. And he'll look at me sometimes and go, I had a great day. Then he'll look at me and goes, it didn't go so well. Him not going so well means he's still ahead. I mean, it's amazing. Okay.
He could have been up a couple thousand. Instead, he's only up a couple of hundred. That's a bad day at the track.
Okay, you and I. Okay, and for every business person out there, that means for the day you're in the black. All right, so so let's start with this. Philadelphia is tremendous. What's fun about Barkley is this. It is like watching Mike Schmidt, right? It's like watching some of the great home run hitters that you saw during your time, when every time the guy came to the plate, how many times do you sit at Shea and think to yourself, he's going to hit it out? I feel like every time Barkley touches it, there's a potential it's going to be a home run. What do you think?
You know what the funny thing about Saquon and this hot streak that he is on has been, personally for me, I was doing shows in New York still on WFAN when the Giants picked them number 2 overall, and I had to field a whole bunch of calls about what the hell are they doing? They can't take a running back. They so desperately need a quarterback. And I tried to tell Giant fans, no, this kid is special. He is a once every 5 to 10 year type back. If they can do everything else, he's going to be great for them. Well, unfortunately, they couldn't do everything else, and I will absolutely say Saquon's talents were wasted in New York.
Yes.
It's just very nice that he's playing with a team that not only knows how to use him, but can dot all the other I's and cross all the other T's and benefit from him being as good as he is.
That's what I said to him back in May when last time I talked to him. And I said, you must wake up every day and look at those 5 guys and think to myself, all right, now I get to play football. Those 5 guys up front, amazing.
And throw Goddard in that mix, too, because he's one hell of a blocking tight end.
Love Goddard. I agree with you. Goddard. In fact, I brought that up with somebody else a couple of weeks ago about the value of Goddard in all of this. Okay, Jalen Hurts, in your opinion, how well is he seeing the field? He's not making a lot of mistakes, but how well is he seeing the field right now?
Good question. I would say not as good as he can. Not terrible. Some people would make you think that Jalen Hurts is playing terrible quarterback. He's not. He's just not putting up massive numbers because why wouldn't you hand it to Saquon Barkley and just continue to let it churn down the field and score touchdowns? So his numbers are off a little bit. And I've said both in the last 2 playoff games, there was 1 or 2 plays, 2 or 3 plays each game where I just thought he wasn't ready to pull the trigger on something that was open. But it hasn't had an ill effect. They haven't lost either of the 2 games. And, oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts has exactly 0 turnovers, be it either a pick and or a fumble. So while he's not burning the opposition, he sure as hell isn't helping them, and he's still winning games for the Eagles.
Yeah, that's the big part, that he is not turning the ball over. But again, I go back, when the Rams played the Vikings, they sacked Sam Darnold 9 times. Why did he get sacked 9 times? Well, part of it's the Rams pass rush. I mean, Verse is very talented among others. And Darnold holds on to the ball too long. I'm watching Hurts the other day, and there were 7 sacks. And my first thought was, boy, he sure is holding on to the ball a long time. And I thought that was the Darnold problem.
Yeah, like I said, there's always a couple each game where I go, pull the trigger, and he hasn't done it. And it could be a problem if he didn't have Saquon bailing him out with all the great runs that he's had. What I was buoyed by last week was the early running touchdown by him, because I thought that was going to open up the rest of the game for him. If they've got to play him and they've got to play Saquon, that means they can't be playing 2 high safeties and double-teaming wide receivers and the like. Unfortunately, he got hurt thereafter, and I think he played hurt the entire game. So I think the opposition could pick up on that as well and say, all right, we don't have to leave a spy just to see him. And then, he was a little slow on a couple deliveries. But again, 75%, that's a pretty good number. 25 to 20 or 15 to 20, that's pretty damn good. I'll take that.
And I'll tell you right now, I'll take that defense, the way they're playing right now. No Nakobe Dean, and I thought they did a great job, in my opinion, on Sunday of masking his absence. How did you feel about that?
Oren Burks was fine. He played. I thought he played the pass pretty well, but coverage. He played the run pretty well. Coverage on tight ends. Oh, by the way, that's Zach Ertz coming back to town, and he's playing pretty damn well for them right now. It does scare me a little bit. There's a drop-off, or whatever you're going to do, and I thought Fangio was great last week. I talked to a couple of guys about this, that he's the straightest shooter I've seen as an Eagle assistant coach in a long time. He'll actually say something, and you can go to the bank with it. Last week, he actually pulled the wool over the Eagle beat writer's eyes, which I didn't believe he could and or would do, when he made it sound like Jeremiah Trotter could be getting serious action in the game last week against the Rams. His line of, hey, he's got a great future, and maybe the future is now. Everybody thought, oh, that means Jeremiah's going to play. Burks played every single snap from the line of scrimmage. So it's Burks' job. Burks is solid. Burks is not Nakobe Dean.
No, and again, we can always talk about next man up. There's a reason why the other guy's starting. Like, there's multiple reasons why the other guy's starting. As simple as that. The Rams of the last two possessions, for the most part, went no huddle and didn't substitute. And the Eagles look like, because of the pattern, look, it's going to happen to anybody. Like, they did a good job of wearing them out a little bit. Washington doesn't huddle. Any concern about that?
Legit, because you're right. They did move the ball down the field damn quickly when they needed to get within one score, and then got the stop, got the ball back, and Eagle defense finally came up with the stop that they needed. Yeah, the hurry up wasn't the best. And it doesn't make sense, because if the Eagles were a major substitution team, then I would go, the other team is keeping the Eagles from getting their best players on the field. The last couple of weeks of the regular season, sans the one game that they didn't even try and win, and the first playoff win, they were playing guys 100% of the snaps on defense, 95% of the snaps on defense. They don't take Jalen Carter off the field anymore,
right.
So they can't use that as an excuse. The thing that scares me a little bit off the two matches that these two teams have already had this year is that the previous game, the Eagles let the Skins, they were up 2 Barkley touchdowns in the fourth quarter, put them up by 16, and they let the Skins go right down the field and get an, by the way, touchdown. Last week against the Rams, after Barkley goes in from way out, they go into prevent defense, they go right down the field and score. If I had Vic Fangio's ear for 30 seconds, I would tell him, you got to tighten up that defense with a lead in the fourth quarter. You don't want, you got them down, step on their necks, don't let anybody get back up.
Look, you and I both know the game's about matchups. Whether it's been Ron Rivera as the head coach or now Dan Quinn, for whatever reason, Washington has played Philadelphia tough. Right? Doesn't mean Philadelphia's lost every game. Philadelphia's won most of the games. But Washington, for whatever reason, has been the one team that plays them tough. Is there a matchup or two that Washington has that allows them to stay within hailing distance and give themselves a shot against Philadelphia, as you've watched over the years?
Yeah, your point is right on, spot on, that for whatever reason, kind of like in baseball, the Marlins always give the Phillies a hard time. Even when the Marlins are, no questions asked, the last team in the NL East, they always play well against the Phillies. Commanders have been the last team too many times in the last 10 years, but they almost always play the Eagles tough. I would not be surprised if that's the case again here. After the game on Sunday, I was in my national show on the Infinity Sports Network, and I tried to come up with my own line for the game, and I said, they'll show them some respect because of their 2 playoff wins, and I mean the Commanders. I thought they'd set the line at 4.5, at most 5. And sure enough, they set it at 4.5, exactly what I projected. The fact that it's gone up a little bit to 6, and in some places 6.5, does surprise me. I think this game will be decided in the 59th minute. They've played 2 close games so far this year. I would expect them to play a third.
Jaden Daniels, 3-year starter at Arizona State, 2-year starter at LSU, Heisman Trophy winner, gets into this league. What is your thought on what kind of player he is now?
One that is getting a lot of credit, as he should. Last year, Stroud had arguably, statistically, the best year any rookie quarterback has ever had in the league. Yeah, Daniels topped him this year, so he's had the best rookie quarterback season ever in the year, which says a lot. The one thing that I'll tell you, I think he doesn't get quite enough credit for it I think he deserves. I think he plays smart. Yeah. And that's not what you get with rookie quarterbacks. Sometimes they get over aggressive or they make a judgment mistake. This kid plays smart. Does he have the greatest arm I've ever seen? No. But he knows when and how to throw the football, and he never throws the football, it seems to me, in a foolish place. You don't usually get that from quarterbacks, and it'll be up to the Eagles and their frontline pressure to see if they can force him into a mistake or two, get a tip ball or two, because he's not going to throw you into an interception.
No, he's not. And you mentioned Ertz already, and then there's Terry McLaurin. I mean, he does have people to throw to, and Robinson is not Barkley, but he's not a bad running back. I mean, they're not playing the little sisters of the poor here. Washington's a pretty good team in a lot of ways.
And you have to hope that Quinyon Mitchell and Isaiah Rodgers played fine last week. He had one ball that he should have picked off that he let the receiver pull out of his hands, but otherwise he didn't play terrible. But Quinyon is the guy who needs to be on the other side from big play Slay. If you have those two, you don't have to worry about chasing McLaurin all over the field. You have confidence in your two guys, and or if he goes into the slot with your slot guy too, they need their top three cornerbacks out there to stop Washington's passing game. And if trending is if Mitchell will be fine, we won't know probably till game day because I don't think he's going to do a lot during the week. But he said he thought he'd be fine by Sunday, and I'll take Quinyon at his word.
What a player he is. Man, what a player. Kansas City, Buffalo. What's your read on that game?
Close, much like the Eagles and the Commanders. That's an even tighter spread. The Chiefs are just a couple of points favored because the Bills already beat them this year, proved that they could beat them. But you did see last week that there are some guys that are just better players the bigger the spotlight. And Kelsey is one of those guys. He came up huge from the other day, and I expect him to do the same again on Sunday. In Kansas City, I lead toward the Chiefs, and I think if the Eagles win, which I'm going to pick them to do, I think Eagle fans will be perfectly happy with it. Taking another shot at the Chiefs and Andy Reid, they'd probably die for it, for that to be the New Orleans matchup.
Yeah. When you see Josh Allen, what are you seeing that maybe other people don't see with him? Because I obviously most people think he's terrific.
As do I. I've apologized for Josh Allen for years now because I didn't get a chance to see him enough on the collegiate level, and he played at a lesser level, and I thought it was a risk to take him in the top 10. Buffalo didn't. Buffalo knew. Buffalo was right. So I've been praising Josh Allen and mea culpas from yours truly for years now. So if Josh Allen goes in there, I think he's the MVP. I know some people think that just by the numbers that Lamar should get it. For me, it's Josh Allen. Now, the playoffs and tomorrow's game had nothing to do with that. The fact that he beat Lamar straight up last week has nothing to do with it either. But I think he deserves to be the MVP in the National Football League. That's a pretty good honor.
You know what? I'll give you a quick story, Jody, and it goes back to when his senior year in college. I spoke to the Penn State club in Michigan the night before a Penn State-Michigan game, and it was at the Convocation Center at Eastern Michigan, which is attached to the football stadium. Well, when the speech was over, and it was compelling. I mean, standing ovations, plaudits. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, so I'm done with the speech, and I go out. I watched Josh Allen play because Wyoming was playing Eastern Michigan. So I got that chance in college to see him actually firsthand. I go, well, this guy's pretty good, but I didn't think he was going to do this.
He's talented. He's got an arm. He's got the size. He's got the nerve, which I think is a necessary factor. Kind of what I like about Jaden Daniels as well. Willing to pull it down, can make a play, isn't always going to just go into a slide. When he thinks he can get an extra 5 yards, he's going to try and put a move on. He is a true weapon in the National Football League. Now, Spagnuolo's as good a defensive coordinator as there is, and he always seems to figure out a way to disguise his blitzes and get to the quarterback. So Josh isn't going to have a walk in the park this week, but I truly believe that's a toss-up game.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, one final note on the track insurance. Maybe I can work out something where I can let you rent Girardi.
He returns my text when I need him. I try not to tap into him often, but he does return my text. And if you have to tell him anything this weekend or when you go to Santa Anita, say Jody Mack says Owen the Almighty will be the upset winner of this year's Kentucky Derby. I've already got some winter book bets in. So if and when it happens, I want Girardi to know that I told you about it in early January rather than the week of the Run for the Roses.
It may come up in conversation tonight. So, I just say, all right, my friend. Thank you so much. You're the greatest. Appreciate you.
Steve, always a pleasure. Anytime, bud.
You bet. That is the great Jody McDonald. Man, I can't. Believe me, it's going to come up in conversation tonight, I'm telling you. We'll come back with more in a moment. This half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. They do a great job with every insurance need. Plus, they do everything they can to save you money. Customer service means everything to them at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
An in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
All right. Half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory, great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. Terrific service department. That takes care of everything. Quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult. They handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Yes. All right. So. Great to have you with us on the show today. By the way, halfway through the interview, I got your text.
It usually doesn't happen to us. It usually happens to my wife and I.
Yeah, but that's deliberate. No.
She's at work. She's not listening, so it might be sometimes.
How could she not listen to this broadcast extravaganza? I'm sorry. I'm taken aback.
She'd have to have a lot more interest in sports to listen to this as well.
Oh, God. Same in my house.
Yeah.
No, there's no.
I was going to say, basketball is about the extent of it. The football gets flipped on, that usually means it's a chance to take a nap.
I always love. The suit loves all the CBS sports themes. Okay? Loves them all. So I'm listening to the promo. And, of course, that's the CBS basketball sports theme. Right? He does the same thing with football. Right? He loves the themes. Mixing his voice in with the theme. Very nice. So there you go. It's just great he's back on, isn't it? It's great he's back on. It's a great sign.
We're getting to the point he's been back long enough, though. The sympathy's going away.
Okay, you want honesty? I mean, I really didn't warp in that direction for a lot. It's like, yeah, whatever. We're good. So. Oh, goodness gracious. Hey, it's just what we do. It's how we roll here. It's how we roll. Amari Evans ended up with his transfer location. We'll just mention it. Everybody knows where he ended up. He ended up at Washington. We know that Trey Wallace ended up at Ole Miss. And I know a lot of people are wondering, where is the defensive coordinator search? They'll get there. They'll be fine. Not worried. Drives everybody nuts. I'm not worried. Like, we're good. Got it. We're good.
I know Lynn was mentioned. People had mentioned Al Golden. Does him going to Cincinnati kind of throw a wrench into that, or that wasn't an option ever?
There really wasn't going to be an option.
Yeah.
Al, 10 days ago, my understanding was he was going to go to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That Lou Anarumo was going to be moving on. Okay, which is I don't blame Anarumo for moving on. He had a long run in Cincinnati, did some good things for them, but you know what? It was probably time, so he took the Indianapolis Colts job. The second he did that, you knew, because Al had been there before. And I think for me personally, for Al, I think it's actually easier for him to become a head coach in the NFL than it is for him to be a head coach in college football. And I don't mean, and I say this with all due respect, I don't mean Miami of Ohio. I don't mean Texas, El Paso. I mean a Power 4 job. I think it's easier for him to get an NFL job than it is college. What happened to him at Miami was one of the great rip-offs of all time in college coaching. It really was. He had zero to do at all. The Nevin Shapiro stuff all happened before he got there. Yet, I don't understand why we're not good. I would say, well, I don't know. You had sanctions? You ever think about that? But again, people don't think these things. They don't understand how difficult it is to overcome sanctions. I did a lot of research on that in 2012. Not a little, a lot. Because I wanted to see what the problem areas were with sanctions. And he had to endure that. USC had to endure it. Penn State had to endure it. Right? And he got ripped off in the process down there. Oh, he's a terrible coach. Again, look, he's been dealt a bad hand by you people. All right? Which he had nothing to do with. So, that's how I just think his pathway to being an NFL head coach as opposed to being a Power 4 head coach, his pathway is better in the NFL than it is here because you have to convince people on the college level, oh, yeah, well, look what he didn't do at Miami. It's like, okay, great, fabulous.
It is a little surprising that Manny Diaz bounced back from that quicker than Al did.
He bounced back quicker because he took a defensive coordinator's job with Penn State.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I mean that's a big part of it. Okay, he didn't take the head coaching job at Duke right away. He rehabilitated himself with 2 great years at Penn State. They go, hey, let's go with him. Right? I mean, that's how he did it. Now, there's another part, too. Where would you rather be a head coach these days? Would you rather be a head coach in the NFL or in college? Because in the NFL, you have somebody else that deals with contracts. You have somebody else that, for the most part, deals with talent acquisition. You just have to coach. As opposed to all the hats you have to wear as a college coach.
Not that they're not working now, but I mean, this is probably a longer break for the guys' seasons that are over than anybody in college has gotten. They're working on the draft and stuff, but you can squeeze in a vacation or a couple days off right now. Which, where in the college schedule do the college guys get any?
Well, especially if you're in the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, because all these moves on coordinators on the college level, whether it happens to be Al Golden leaving Notre Dame, whether it happens to be any interest Jim Knowles has out there from various locations, in Tom Allen going to Clemson, it's all happening late because of the playoff. They stay with their teams all the way through. Okay? So all this is happening later in the cycle. Now, it turns out that this is a year where, for Penn State, spring practice is going to start a week later. That doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt at all. And I think that in this process that helps. Because the blue-white game is until April 26th. That's about as late as I can remember it being. And so, I mean, this process is, let me put it this way, it's closer now than, because, time has weeded out certain individuals. But that's, They're not in winter workouts. I mean, they're in winter workouts with Chuck right now. They're not into those 8 winter workouts that I talk about. That 8 winter workout time where the coaches are out there with them. Right now it's Chuck and Alvin and already Chuck Losey, Alvin Futrell, James Earls, everybody. Okay, working out with the players. Yeah, they've got them right now. Okay. But the coaches being out there with them for those 8 winter workout practices, they're not even at that stage yet. Okay? And so they're not in spring practice yet. They're not in OTAs yet. They're not in training camp yet. And it's not Nevada week. So it's okay. They'll get somebody. Okay? And James is taking his time and doing his due diligence. He wants to make sure. Because he has, look, this is based on the number of players coming back, this is a go-for-it year. 2024 was a go-for-it year, and they got all the way to the semifinals, won 2 playoff games. Well, with the number of players they have coming back and the influx of some key transfers, it's a go-for-it year. So making that decision on the defensive coordinator is critical. In other words, it's not a transition season. Transition season, you might think differently, right? But in a go-for-it year, okay, you want to make sure you got it just what you need at this particular point. That's how I view this decision right here. And hey, he's taking his time with it. It's fine. There aren't any games this week. There aren't any winter workout practices that the coaches have to be at this week. It's all right. Whoever gets in here is going to learn right away because he's going to take over a terrific staff. I mean, my goodness, you walk in the room, you got Terry Smith, Anthony Poindexter, and by the way, it could be him. You've got Deion Barnes, you've got Dan Connor. I mean, geez, whomever has this job's got a staff. I mean, like really good coaches.
If it is a transition year, do you think it might have been one of the might have been a younger guy off the staff to get him ready, or
I don't know. I don't know. I just know it's a go for it year. I mean, it's a go for it year. We'll see how it plays out. There's pressure every game. That's why I always love when they hear, "Well, the non-con." Hey, guess what? Notre Dame's their one loss was in that that would be a team's traditional non-con. I know they're an independent. But they lost to Northern Illinois. Right? I mean, Penn State played Bowling Green, had to rally and win the game. Oh, yeah, well, the non-con, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? You lose that game, it's a disaster. You're dealing with 18 to 23-year-olds. It's possible, okay?
If something happens in that Nevada game, I'm not answering the phone here for the first 2 days afterwards.
I'm telling you right now. See, that's the part that some people in sports don't get. Like, you've got 18 to 23-year-olds out there like, okay. All right. It's like, they do some things sometimes. I mean, I watched Penn State play Rutgers the other day. The single most talented player on the court that night was Ace Bailey of Rutgers, and yet he made 2 of the dumbest plays of the game because he's 18. He got a basket, and he taunted somebody. Technical foul. Went down the other end, hit 2 free throws. Guess what? Your dunk's negated. Late in the game, does it again. Dunks and then shoves Ace. Ace goes down, hits the 2 free throws. Penn State's got the ball. And what was a 6-point margin before your dunk is still a 6-point margin now after the dunk. And guess what time ran off the clock? And he's the most talented player out there, yet he had two of the dumbest plays of the game. Why? He's 18. I went to my grandson's youth hockey game. Not the last one. It was a couple weeks ago I went. It was at Pagula. And we just had to sit in the same spot because it's the home team. Everybody had to come over to us in the rotation. And this one group finally gets in there, and there's this father sitting behind me. And he's like, come on, do this. Come on, do that. Come on, do this. And I'm just sitting there. I'm not saying anything. And his shift was over, or there'd be a stoppage, and he goes, I don't understand why. I don't get that. I don't understand why he's doing this. I don't understand why he's doing that. And finally the game was over. He got up and left. And I looked over at my son and my daughter-in-law, and I said, you want to know why he didn't do that stuff? He's 8. It's like, that's why he's 8. What do you think? He's 28? Bobby Orr? He's 8. Sometimes it's that simple. Right? I'm going to have to tell Matt this. Look, Luke isn't that bad. He's 5. Okay. I mean, it's just, because I look at 18 to 23-year-olds. Like, Ace Bailey was the single most talented player on the floor Monday night. He was phenomenal, Todd. He's in the wrong league. Okay, he'll be in the right league next year. But he made this long list of spectacular plays, and he made 2 of the dumbest plays of the game. Why? He's 18.
You can point to the guy that was just probably going to be the AP rookie, defensive rookie of the year for how important maturity is. Like, it's, if you watch Jared Verse at Central Columbia, the biggest, the talent was obvious. It was just, you just have to, with age, you learn to control your emotions. You learn to, the right way to do things, for lack of a better way to put it.
Right.
And
You just don't know. Right? And age plays a factor. I mean, we see 20-something-year-olds, 30-something-year-olds doing something on a football field or a basketball court and go, okay, you played this game for how long? I don't get it. Right? But that's what the fans have to realize. You can collectively go out. I mean, Notre Dame's other loss was to Northern Illinois. Well, Northern Illinois did not win the MAC. Northern Illinois did not play in the MAC championship game. Northern Illinois was one of the better teams in the MAC, but far from the best. And they beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Why? Notre Dame had a collective bad day. Why? They're 18 to 23. It happens. That's why every game, I tell everybody the same thing all the time. I prepare every game the same way because I don't know what game I'm going to get. That's the glory of sports. Blank canvas when the game starts. Now you start using your words to paint the picture. Everyone's a blank canvas. Oh, we can all guess and assume it was what we think is going to happen. But like James said, we were talking about it mid-season. James and I were talking about it mid-season. And it was like, we're talking about opponents and whatever. And he says, yeah, Steve, he says, everybody thinks like, yeah, Bowling Green, you should be Bowling Green. They're this, they're that, they're whatever. They're not good, the whole thing. He says, we're out there trying to bust our backsides to win the game. He says, because guess what? If we lose it, it's a disaster. It's the way it's, the unpredictability of sports is amazing. Now, I know Detroit's all banged up, but Detroit was the best team in the NFL all season. Now, they kept losing guys defensively. That's not even remotely the same Detroit Lions defense as before. It's not. But Washington went in and beat them. And they rang up better than 40 points on them and looked unstoppable. Stuff happens. That stuff happens. Yeah. I don't know why.
It'd be a heck of a lot richer if you did.
Oh, I wouldn't be doing this show.
No.
I wouldn't. You got to be kidding me. That's why we're kidding about taking Girardi of the track. Oh, yeah. My two-legged horse racing insurance. Now, of course, I didn't have the heart to tell Jody I wasn't going to bet any money, but that's okay. It was actually more fun playing it out that way. We'll take a break, come back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
There's something to be said about a sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You could shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
Most of the day for him is a siesta.
I just imagine him playing that little flamenco acoustic guitar.
Oh, no. I mean, when you're sitting there and every day to you is a siesta, I mean, really. Our guy.
Always.
Getting it done. Our guy. He does that commercial about Madonna being a material girl. Right? He is on siesta on Amazon and being a material guy. Oh, you wonder why he gets Prime Video on Thursday nights for free. He's done enough. Let him have it.
He gets a free spot in the dais.